I think we can all see the significant challenges ahead of us.
Now at 10, team coverage tracking the monster storm set to hit land overnight.
Please do not let your guard down.
Here's a look at the latest forecast track. Hasn't changed much. Still forecasting a landfall around daybreak or a little bit after tomorrow morning. Now that the storm is moving so slowly right around Wilmington, it's still forecast to move a little bit south and then pretty much along I-20.
There are already tropical storm warnings for Richmond, Chesterfield County. Lancaster County is under a tropical storm watch.
The massive storm is now hours from making landfall near Wilmington, North Carolina, but it's still been pounding the coast for hours already.
Breaking now at 5, we have the latest track that shows days of rain and tropical storm force winds.
The sun rose this morning on an extremely dangerous situation.
Florence has arrived. And it's the monster Channel 9 was preparing you for.
Powerful, slow, and relentless. It's an uninvited brute who doesn't want to leave.
Rain totals so far, estimates 2 to 4 inches in these shades of yellow where you see some red near Morehead City. 6.5 inches of rain, and we are just getting started.
And breaking in the last 5 minutes, the National Weather Center released their latest track on the storm. You see it here. You can see it's not changing much, still crawling very slowly west tonight.
Storm has been downgraded to a tropical storm. Top winds are 70 miles per hour, but our greatest fear is now being realized.
And right now we can sadly report that lives have been lost because of Hurricane Florence.
And let's take you back to Chesterfield County this evening, which was without a question one of the hardest hit in our area. And take a look at this picture. It speaks better than our words ever could. Look at that semi-truck, the front half hanging into a pit where Highway 145 washed away. Our team coverage continues now with Eyewitness News South Carolina Bureau reporter Greg Suskin.
And I'm live outside Chesterfield High School because, as you said just a few minutes ago, Allison, this school here and Sheraw High School will open tonight as the first Red Cross shelters in this county tonight at 8 o'clock to try to take care of some of these folks that have been displaced from their homes. But all across this county, washed out roads have caused major accidents like that.
Whenever we were advised that it looked like it was going to be as bad as they forecasted to be for our county, the emergency management director came to me and him sat down and decided that we needed to go ahead and do some prep work. We went and made sure that when he would need to activate the EOC, what he would need from me map-wise, and what we would need to create to be able to see during the storm. I created several sub-layers in Event Manager that were not public. And those were layers of damage, layers of that we needed to send out disaster help. We didn't know what we would need, but I wanted to go ahead and make sure I had that groundwork done from the administrative side of it. We created layers on the laptops that we could use, so if we took them out in the field, they could it would be between me and them. And so by us preparing those layers beforehand, that saved me some work, but I never realized how useful it was going to be during the storm. So when the military showed up, which was one of the best things that happened to us because we had a liaison that was stationed in the EOC, they showed up to help us with rescue. After a couple of days, they were really needing a lot of maps. They needed specific maps. And instead of wanting a map of our county or wanting a map of a specific area, they were wanting as events were happening. And so what I did with the military is I ran huge 36 by 48 maps for them to use on the ground, but I ran those maps off of Event Manager. So whatever at that time was the current situation, whether it be 75 road closures, whether it be a fire, whether it be power lines down, trees, whatever the situation may be. At the time they needed a lot of, that was what was on their map. So as they looked at our county and they were going out, because they brought water rescue vehicles, they knew where they could get through and where they couldn't get through, but they also knew the whole state of the county, what was going on at any given time. And they pretty much wanted one of those about every hour. And so I ran a lot of maps for them, but when they finally, after a few days, they actually sent a GIS person in from the military with the National Guard. And after working with him just a few minutes each day, giving him a laptop, letting him use he was on WTH GIS, he was using the GIS to print his own maps, he was using Event Manager, he was sitting here running their work schedules and things off of our map. It was a quick jump over, a quick few little things that he had to learn. I had to go over a few times and help him with stuff. But once I got him an Event Manager sign on where he could do stuff just for him and print it, we were good to go. So it made a huge difference. We had an ambulance director from MedShore who was here with a team with an ambulance sitting here. And because there were so many road closures, he would have to, where he normally would have somebody in the east or west or north, he was having to redirect his ambulances. He would sit here with a map, never used a GIS map from our office, sitting down in front of an Event Manager, and he is scheduling his ambulances based on the road closures. How easy it was for him to navigate around and say, you need to turn to this road, now to this road, because you need to bypass this road to get an ambulance in and get an ambulance out. So it was a huge resource, even with MedShore, our ambulance service for our county, because they were in our EOC using the mapping system. By creating that stuff, preparing beforehand, go ahead and running some county maps, running some maps for around the rivers and the places we know that are in the flood zones, putting those on the wall before the storm even got here was a huge asset for us. And so by doing that, we could go and write on those maps. I could transpose any of that stuff onto the digital map that I wanted, and it made the resource of having the Event Manager even easier to use, because I wasn't having to sit here and someone dictate to me. I was having military people, disaster people, rescue people, all out here writing on the walls on these maps, and I could remove this map and create that same visual digital within minutes. The good thing is anybody, you don't have to be the administrator, anybody that sat in dispatch, anybody that was sitting on Event Manager could take that call and put that on. It didn't throw it all on one person. And so it made it where at the end, it was all my responsibility as the GIS administrator. It was all my responsibility to provide that information to the emergency management, to the administration, to FEMA. And so I didn't have to gather all the information. It was a huge group effort. So no matter who I had codes people who were out doing damage assessment who were adding to it. I had dispatchers who were adding to it. I had rescue people who were adding to it. We had fire people who were adding to it. And so at the end, I have a huge record of the storm that I didn't have to sit here for 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day or 16 hours a day and type myself. That record was a huge group effort. Whenever FEMA come in, because we were not expecting that much damage, and said, okay, that's great. You have all these roads, you have all these culverts, you have all these things that are washed out. Do you have some type of record? And I could go in to the history and put a day and a time to a day and a time and hit a print button. And I had 47 pages front and back of events within 12 days. I could then sit down with FEMA and say, okay, we can fill whatever we need to fill out. And they were like, no, you have the digital record here. It has longitude and latitude of every culvert washout, every bridge. This is what we need to fill all your paperwork out. And we were like, okay, that's worth the money there. You know, just if you've ever had to deal with FEMA, you know that that's worth the amount of money right there, that you can actually go back and say, 2 weeks ago, we couldn't wait to fix every road. We could not wait because we have to get people back and forth to work, and we have to get people back on the road, and we have to get rescue vehicles back on the road. So we could physically go out with a damage assessment team, take a picture of a blown out bridge, have the record that it truly was, and have a picture after it was fixed before FEMA ever looked at it. So we could show, this is where it was damaged, here it is on Event Manager, here's a picture before, here's a picture that we had to fix before, in order to be able to claim those type of things, because we can't wait. Our roads department has GIS. They have online GIS, and they have Event Manager. And so we knew as roads were getting fixed and opening back up, they could open those roads back up. We've had quite a few roads that have changed because of Hurricane Florence that are listed as no truck traffic allowed that are now temporarily truck traffic allowed because we're having to bypass so many roads in our county now. And so we've had several trucking lines. We are a huge timber, we have lumber, and we have several sand pits that sell rock and sand and gravel that move all over the country that build roads and bridges and things. And so they have to get in here and get to these places to pick up this operation. And several of those locations have roads closed that are getting into them, so they need it to reroute their trucks. And so they use our online GIS with the Event Manager as well. We don't just use it for emergencies. We use it every day. We put on we have a huge state forest in our county, almost 8,000 acres, and they're constantly burning underbrush, and they're constantly out there doing something in the state forest. Well, our county is a rural county. We have 47,000 people in our entire county. We're the 9th biggest county in the state of South Carolina, but we're a very rural county. So most of our fire departments and our emergency response people are volunteers. And we were finding a problem where we were dispatching a fire truck to a fire that was in the state forest because they were burning 200 acres, and somebody came through the road and saw a fire, so someone has to visually go out there and see it. Well, now, by using the burn permits that come into the state forestry, we put those on, and when we have a fire call come in from a resident stating that there's a lot of smoke coming, we can advise them that there is a controlled burn happening. We can notify DNR to find out that's what's going on, and it saves those volunteers getting off work, running a fire truck out there. So we use that every single day. If we have a road that is closed due to a major accident or a leakage in a tractor trailer spill or things like that, we can instantly close a road and say, here's the detour. We've advised them they can draw the easiest detour around. They look for no truck routes if it's trucks and try to detour them where there is a truck route. If not, we are very much aware of where we're detouring that truck to. So it works for us greatly every day. If we have a situation where we need to do an evacuation, or we have a situation where we have something going on that is a major event in the county, we can live put on where the roadblocks are, where the directions that you need to turn around and follow. We can put specific directions on Event Manager that are real life as they're happening, and anyone can access that through our online GIS. And so then they have the most up-to-date record that they possibly could have. The same information that we're looking at, they have access to from their phones or from their laptops at home, for anywhere they are with internet access. If they're looking at our online site, they can see real life events as they're happening. We didn't have to do the basics of click this button and click this and add. All we had to do was say, okay, you got new icons. This is what we're using them for. These are the criteria. If it's a, let's say, power pole across the road, if it's a road completely washed out, we gave them a specific criteria. This is what goes on live event. Any other thing goes on live, we do not. But if we have specific criteria for them to follow, it's really easy for them. They don't have to make the decision, should I put it on, should I not put it on? Because the director has already made the decision for them of these are the situations that go live. I've been in emergency management. I've been working in this department for 3 years. I transferred over from the assessor's office, so it's a different world. I went from land ownership and lines to people's lives on the stage. So it's a huge difference, and it's a huge responsibility to make sure that the stuff is right. An event manager makes that so much easier. I have more confidence that I'm not here doing it, that other people are doing it because of the ease of being able to use it. Event manager, when we found out that we could go live with it was just a extra thing for our online GIS. When we got online GIS, that was bringing us into the next century like we needed to be anyway. But the event manager was just a cap on that, because we could advise the public of situations going on live where they could actually access it and see live events going on. The resource of event manager is great for us. You know, the cost is so minimal for what this thing can do for the one specific thing we wanted it for. But when we found out all the applications of this, those are just all bonuses. We have found, just by training and using the event manager, that so many resources that this thing can offer you. When we originally got it, we thought it was going to be for a specific situation, and we have found that it is so much more than that.